Finch. I'm the Business, Finance, Accounting Librarian at USW. And I'm covering for Larry Williams, who is on maternity leave until 2020. In this video, we'll be looking at developing a good searching strategy to hone in and quickly find academic papers and articles. Academic journals, also known as peer-reviewed journals, are frequent publications like magazines that provide a platform for a range of academic papers to be published, read and disseminated by others with a vested interest in the field. All articles and research submitted to academic journals must go through a vigorous checking process by other peer academics before it can be accepted for publication. There are thousands of titles covering a range of subjects. This graph is a very rough growth estimate of journals published since the 19th century. In 1800 there were 500 journals, and today there are around 30,000. The number of articles available from these journals are in their millions. Most journals are now available online as well as in print. Here, a print version of International Journal of Management Reviews from July 2016 is identical to an electronic version to the left of the screen, which you can find on a database called Business Source Complete. It is typical of most journals we subscribe to. You can search for articles published by them through Find It, our databases, or by linking up to University of South Wales in Google Scholar. You can find out more about how to do this by checking out our guides on the library website. If you try and find an academic journal article on a general search engine, then you may have to pay for access. At USW, you have free access to many of these expensive journals. With a good search strategy, you can find relevant and high-quality research articles and sources of information from these journals through Find It and our databases. We're now going to look at search strategy. There are millions of articles to choose from. Narrowing them down to articles that are relevant and useful for you requires some planning. This is important as a well-thought search strategy can help target the articles you want to read and filter out the ones you don't. Firstly, define your question and think carefully about the answers you want. That is, articles that are relevant to my research and projects. To aid planning of search strategy, it can help to visualize and map out related issues. That can help with structuring essays or large assignments like theses or dissertations, and it can also help you see how those issues might link to other concepts that you want to avoid. Here, I have mapped out a few of the many related issues to ethics and leadership. These include employee welfare, professional code of conduct, corporate responsibility, and change management. I might just want to explore one of these issues, or I could do several of them at different stages of my projects. I can also use this tool to visualize what I don't want to look at. For example, in this instance, change management. Once you've defined your question, you know what you want to find, think about what search words you want to use. Don't use the same search words all the time. One person's word for enterprise might be another person's words for business. Map out other words that will help you optimize the quality of the results you find. For example, if you search only with the word benchmark, then this could exclude equally relevant and useful articles with the words standards, quality, measure. Let's have a look at how this can affect your results. Once you've defined your question and know what you want to find, think about what search words to use. If you already have a good and relevant article, look at the keyword descriptors in the record. Does it have any other words that you haven't thought of. You could look at the internet, search for some respected blogs or posts if it's using phrases or terms that you haven't thought of. You could look for alternative words or synonyms with online resources. Or if you have your own way of generating keywords, then why not share them with your peers and with us? Most people will combine terms when they're searching on the open web. For example, when researching Harry Potter movies on Google, it makes sense to add the word film to bring up websites about the motion picture rather than the book. This principle of adding extra concepts or words to tell the search engine what you're looking for can be applied to searching for academic articles. Let's look at an example of combining search words in Business Source Complete. This is a large academic research database that focuses on business. Business Source Complete is found in the section Find Databases. You'll find a lot of other business databases if you use the drop-down menu here and click on Business. Business Source Complete is at the top. If I type in leadership, the list of results will be too much to wade through. Trying to get that perfect article would be like trying to find a speck of gold in a pan full of sand. Adding another term, change, reduces it to around 28,000, but this is still too many to go through. Add the word motivation and the number of results is reduced to 900, and you can see it's easier to find articles that are relevant to you. Boolean searching is built on a method of symbolic logic. It was developed by George Boole, a 19th century English mathematician. Boolean searching allows you to combine words and phrases using the words and, or, not. This will help you to limit, broaden, or define your search. Using Boolean is easier to do with advanced search multi-box functionality. This is what advanced searching looks like in Find It and Emerald Insight, which is another of our business databases available at USW. As we've seen, and is used to combine terms so that only articles containing all of those words in that search string are found. I'm following up from our earlier example, and I'm adding gender to the search leadership, change, and motivation. I have 900 results, but if I add gender, then it would look further for articles with all of those terms and gender in them, and you can see it's been reduced to 30. This makes finding articles so much easier. In advanced searching, I personally find it easier to use and to combine different topics or concepts, i.e. leadership and motivation, sustainability and procurement, on separate lines. But there are no strict rules, and my advice would be to practice and experiment and get a better idea of what works for you. Or we'll search for all words, even if they're not all in the same article. This is particularly useful for synonyms, terms that have other words that mean the same thing. I want to search for benchmarks in healthcare organisations, but as you know, there's more than one word to describe benchmark. So rather than do different searches with different words for benchmark, like measurement, standard, and quality, I can search for them all through together by using or. It's easier to do it on one line because it's one concept. And as you can see, the number of results have increased substantially, and you're including all of those words even if they don't appear together in the article. Not excludes terms and concepts. In my experience, this can be a bit hit and miss, but it could still be useful for excluding concepts or topics that might be commonly associated with it. For example, cloning, not sheep, will exclude articles with the word sheep. Pandemic, not COVID, will exclude articles about COVID.
There are 11,000 results for my search on pandemic. If I change the drop-down menu here to not, then I can try and search for pandemic but excluding COVID or corona. After doing a search, I now have about 6,000 results.
And here are some other helpful searching tips. Phrase search. If you're looking for phrases, use quotation marks around the words to wrap them and keep them together. Without a quotation mark around business plan, you could get results with business and plan in two separate parts of the article. Translation. Press Shift and 8 on your keyboard to use the star symbol to translate words. Then the database will search for the same word stems, words that start off with the same spelling and then finish differently. The star after NUS will include nurses, nursing and nursed. Now we're going to look at how you can refine and narrow down your search even more.
After you've done your search, use Filter My Results or Refine My Results to set your dates first and then narrow your list of hits by different variables. For this, go back and find it, but it exists in other databases too. You can choose type of resource, whether it's a book or an article. You can choose subjects. In this case, we can narrow down to leadership or motivation and motivation. And then when you've chosen the list of criteria through author, for language, for the database it comes from, then you can press apply. The list of criteria that you've set will be at the top of the screen.
Filter functions do vary from database to database. If you're unsure about any of the databases you encounter in your studies, or you need further help and support with Find It, then get in touch with your subject librarian. In this final section, we will look at following up trails and leads to find more academic papers. Once you've found some good articles and resources, you can use these to find even more.
This example is from Science Direct. I found an article measuring the efficiency of leaders. Look at the references. Are there any other articles listed here that could be explored? Sometimes the database will provide links and information and citations, articles that have been cited from your useful article research paper. Are there any articles you can use from that? There may be further recommendations of other articles to read, often very similar in content to the article being looked at.
We've reached the end of this video. Thank you for listening. If you need further information or support,
you can check out our guides. For detailed support and guidance, contact your subject librarian. The details are all available on our library website.